Hello, I'm Paula Fitzgerald from IUGA. Thanks again for coming. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to talk about deferred action for childhood arrivals. We also know them as the Dreamers, because these are a lot of the people that would have been covered if the DREAM Act had been passed. This presentation is designed to explain the recent change of policy for undocumented immigrants who arrived to the United States as children. It also is designed to help potential applicants and service providers to obtain your necessary documents and information so that you are ready to apply. The presentation is not designed to train service providers or applicants on how to fill out their applications on their own. It's not designed to answer individual questions about your certain case. That will be done after the presentation if you come for a one-on-one consultation. And it's not designed to fill out your application here for deferred action. The presentation is not intended as legal advice, and every case is different, so it is important if you have something very specific that you do the consultation to see if you may qualify. What is deferred action for childhood arrivals? Basically, deferred action for childhood arrivals originated with the bill for the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act would have provided a path to citizenship for young people who were brought to the U.S. as children. Unfortunately, it did not pass, but Obama recently released this policy which would offer deferred action for this population. Deferred action is different from residency, but it is a step in the right direction. On June 15th, 2012, President Obama announced that he'd use his executive authority to grant deferred action status to a certain class of children and young adults who would have benefited from the DREAM Act. On August 15th, USCIS started receiving applications for this benefit. There is no official end date for the application period, but it is likely that eventually USCIS will stop taking applications. The people who would qualify for this are as follows. For someone who was under the age of 31 as of June 15th, 2012, who came to the United States before reaching their 16th birthday, who continuously resided in the US since June 15th, 2007, up to the present time. So they would have had to be in the US for more than 5 years. They have to show that they were physically present in the United States on June 15th, 2012, and have not left the United States since that time. So it is important, based on some of those, to report any travels you've taken outside of the US when you do your consultations or when you evaluate your eligibility under this new program. Someone who entered without inspection before June 15th, 2012. So for those who entered across the border without papers, they have to show an entry before that date. And for those who had status before June 15th, 2012, they have to show that their status was expired. Deferred action is a recognition designated by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security that gives individuals permission to remain in the United States and work during a certain period of time. It is not residency, it is not U.S. citizenship. Did I skip a slide? Oh, oops. I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. So there's two more situations for a person to qualify for deferred action. They have to show that they're currently in school or have graduated or obtained a certificate of completion from high school, a GED, or show that they were honorably discharged veteran of the Coast Guard or Armed Forces. They must show that they have not been convicted of a felony, a significant misdemeanor, which we'll talk about later, or 3 or more other misdemeanors, and do not pose a threat to national security or public safety. In most cases, one has to be over 15 to apply, or at least 15 to apply, but if they are in removal or deportation proceedings, there is an exception where they can apply even if they're under age 15. those people are advised to talk to an attorney because that would be a little bit more complicated. Deferred action, for those who are granted DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, they would be granted employment authorization for 2 years, as long as they can show a need for that. They should, once they are granted employment authorization, they should be able to obtain a social security number, and it is likely that they'll be eligible for a Virginia driver's license, which hopefully will not be a problem, but if there are implementation problems, Legal Aid Justice Center is going to continue monitoring that to work with the DMV to make sure driver's licenses are issued. With regard to college, the question a lot of people are wondering is whether it will allow individuals to attend a Virginia state school, obtain in-state tuition, whether they can get scholarships, grant money, public benefits. At this time we don't know, and as soon as we do, we will make that information available. But since the process has just begun, there are still some questions that are unanswered that hopefully we'll be able to answer in the future. We also are not sure whether individuals will be able to join the Army with this status or not, but that is something that we will keep up to date on to provide you that information. Once a person is granted deferred action, they may apply for advanced parole, which would grant them permission to re-enter the United States in order to travel. We would not advise people to travel before they receive deferred action. It would be the best just to stay in the U.S. Once you have deferred action. If you do wish to travel, it would be a good idea to speak to an attorney to see if you might be able to apply for advanced parole in order to travel. We always caution people about traveling if they have unlawful status here in the United States, or they have periods of time where they were unlawfully present in the United States. There's always risk to traveling. So that's something that people should be very cautious about and not take lightly. How long will deferred action last? That is something that no one knows. We know that they will be granted deferred action for 2 years, and the employment authorization card that they will receive should be valid for 2 years. The DHS has said that it should be renewable, but we don't know for how long. We don't know how long the program will last. We don't know what will happen with this upcoming election. If the president is changed, whether the program would end. Those are all questions that we have and are not aware of yet of the answers. I'm going to turn it over to Bernardo now to talk about the process. Thank you.